Hello, and welcome to It's Not That Bad. Optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue.
It's weird if only one of us does it.
Look, I mean, name of my sex tape, but apart from that, you know, it is just...
Sorry, that was a slow burn for me.
I didn't want to continue the conversation just in case you missed it, but also I did want to continue the conversation just in case it wasn't that funny.
It was funny.
And I didn't know what to do. It was that awful stand-up comedian limbo zone where the joke slowly reveals itself.
No, that was great. I'm sorry. I'm not on the ball today, apparently.
It's fine. You've had a stressful week, which we'll get into at some point. But hello, everyone, and welcome to the Optimistic Movie Podcast, where every week Simone and I tell you about a movie that didn't do so well critically, and we tell you all the nice things about it, like a boyfriend who is seeing his ex-girlfriend for the first time and wants to pretend that everything is just great.
Yeah, beautifully well said.
Yeah, I started that metaphor somewhere else, and it ended where it was, and those are the best types of metaphors, in my opinion.
Sure. I'm sure Steve King would agree.
Steve King, you're on shortened first name terms with him then.
Yeah, we're really close, actually, so...
If you were really, really close with him, I'd be very jealous with rage.
I'd be too intimidated. I think I'd cry every time I spoke to him, because he'd be like, oh, I wrote 5,000 words this morning. I'd be like, oh, I've written 0 words this month.
Who's got the time? No, it's true.
Who does?
I thought I saw him when I was in Italy. I thought I saw him because there was a man
God.
who looked remarkably like him. And I had to quickly Google to make sure that it wasn't him. Because if it was, I would have died.
Did you just Google, where is Stephen King now?
No, I just Googled a picture of him. I wish I had done that. That would have made more sense.
You don't know.
Oh, man. So, Simone.
Yes.
Getting into the swing of podcasts. We've done the tangent. That's what we do best. What are you reviewing this week?
I am doing probably the least of an excellent franchise, so still a pretty good movie. Pitch Perfect 3.
I'm so happy that we got to do this film.
I relish any chance to watch any part of the Pitch Perfect franchise again, to be honest.
Uh-huh. Should we just pretend that Pitch Perfect 1 and 2 are bad movies so we can watch them?
Just to make this podcast really self-serving, like what I did with The Descendants.
Yep, but that was a public benefit more than just for yourself, I would say. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you made me watch this.
What movie are you going to be telling us all about today? I believe you're bringing back an old friend of the podcast.
Yeah, a family favorite, the red-headed goddess that we all grew up loving through her Freaky Friday stage, all the way to is it the Keeping Up with the Lohans? Did they just recycle the name for the Kardashians?
Was there a reality show?
Yes, and it was perfect and amazing, and we're
God.
footnoting it. It was just basically watching Lindsay Lohan have a train wreck day in and day out.
I mean, if you follow her on
sad.
Insta, you still can, so...
I didn't even know she had an Insta account.
I followed it for a while, but it's very strange.
Is it quite sad? Do you feel depressed afterwards?
I just don't understand any of what's happening on it at any given time, and, I unfollowed a bunch of celebrities, because I was like, oh wait, I actually really don't care. So now it's mostly food and animals on my Instagram feed, and I am fine with that.
That's a really wholesome way of providing a feed.
You curate your own experience, and you should do it right.
That's a really nice modern philosophy.
Thank you. I think that's fairly common.
Well, I mean, I didn't really realize that. I mean, yeah, you're like 100% right, and I try to curate my feed, but sometimes you're foolish, and sometimes you follow Tom Holland, even though you're so angry that he stole your life.
Well, I used to follow the Victoria's Secret, and then I realized that I hated myself all the time. And I was like... I'm not even, obviously attractiveness is subjective, blah, 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 blah. But, I was like, I'm not even bad looking, but they just make me so upset every time I look in the mirror. So I unfollowed that, followed a bunch of, highly recommend to all our friends. It's called Wings, Paws, and Claws. It's a flying fox rescue in Australia.
Aww.
And baby flying foxes are just the cutest things in the fucking world. Guys,
They really are. That's magic.
Do yourselves a favor. I'm sure I've sent you some, some of the stuff on Instagram. It's so cute.
I will definitely be following them. There's no question about that. Ah, how magical.
You're welcome, everyone.
So for all of you in podcast land that are sitting in your cars screaming, "What movie are you doing, Chad? Jesus Christ!" I will be doing Herbie Fully Loaded. So if you want to just skip all that you've already listened to, well, it's too late. You curate your own experience, as Simone has made
Except when you're driving. Then we're behind the podcasting wheel.
Oh. So Simone, what are you drinking today? Let's see who goes first.
I'm drinking a cheap red wine that I bought on sale.
Oh.
It is a Namaqua Pinotage.
Lovely.
And as you know, Namaqua, not, the priciest South African brand.
And then on sale as well. What a winner.
Mm-hmm. I bought it for about £2, I think.
That's nothing.
Well, the exchange rate is not in our favor.
Yeah, that's also true.
And it comes in at a cool 13%.
That's not bad for a red wine. Lovely.
Yeah. Oh. And what are you drinking?
I've decided to make myself a coffee because I'm feeling like a sleepy boy. And I've put a shot of a Amarula-like alcohol called Wild Africa, which feels marginally insulting.
Sure.
But it is essentially Amarula, just like with a different label and an ever so slightly different bottle. It's still very tasty. It's sort of more lemony than Amarula, which I thought was quite strange. Yeah. But it's very, very nice, and it comes in at a very cool, or warm, 17%.
Nice. So you're going first.
So I'm going first, so we can get down and dirty with Herbie and his fully loadedness.
I enjoyed this movie, actually. It was we'll get into it, though.
We'll get into it.
Tell me what happens in this movie that I watched last night.
Right, yeah. You can tell me where I went wrong, because the plot seems a bit fickle in places.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So, Maggie Payton, played by Lindsay Lohan, has just graduated from high school. For the summer, she's going to go to New York with her friend Charisma, not even kidding, that's her name, played by Jill Ritchie, and work for ESPN, reporting sports news. But before that, Charisma has to go to France, so Maggie is sort of left to her own devices for a couple months. Maggie's dad, Ray Payton Sr., is not a very good dad. He loves Maggie a lot, but he's a race car owner for NASCAR sports, and that is his big focus. I'm sure I've got all those sort of vernaculars and jargon right. It's a race car owner for NASCAR sports.
I think you... Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's right.
Thanks.
In all my sport knowledge.
Yeah. So, Maggie's mum has died, so he's just doing his best as a single dad. After graduation, Ray feels bad because he didn't make a bigger deal of her graduating, so he decides to take her to buy a car for the following day. Oh, and Maggie also has a brother who races for Ray, and his name is Ray Payton Jr., played by Breckin Mayer. Next day, Maggie and Ray Sr. go down to the junkyard to find a car. Long story short, they find this old, dusty VW Beetle, and Maggie settles for taking it. She opens the glove compartment and finds a note which reads, "Please take care of Herbie. Whatever your problems, he will help you find the answer." Weird stuff starts to happen, and Maggie soon realizes that the car has a personality of its own. It's able to drive by itself, open and close various doors of the car, and adjust the mirrors. Herbie essentially kidnaps Lindsay. I've suddenly switched from Maggie to Lindsay. They're interchangeable people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Herbie kidnaps Lindsay and takes her to a garage so he can get some TLC. There, we meet Kevin, played by Justin Long. He's the sweet, unassuming friend who helps Maggie with all her shenanigans. And I'm sure you know where this is going. Herbie then kidnaps them both. Woo! Herbie then kidnaps them both and takes them to this, what I assume is like a race driver conference place where Maggie used to hang out all the time. You see, she used to race for fun, but one night she had a horrific accident and ended up in the hospital. Consequently, she doesn't race anymore. At the racing conference, she bumps into a really famous racing driver named Trip Murphy, played by Matt Dillon. So he talks shit about Herbie, so Herbie goes and essentially keys Trip's car. While this is all going down, circumstances have meant that Maggie is now dressed in racing clothes and is stuck in a helmet. So when Trip challenges her to a race, he doesn't know that the owner of Herbie is actually a woman.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, right? Women can't drive, can they? You can't drive. Your uterus gets in the way.
It sure does, Chad. It makes it very dangerous.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so.
Dumb woman brain.
Dumb woman brain. You've just got too many hormones up in your head.
I've got so much blood in my baby-making center. How's it supposed to get anywhere else efficiently?
Just stay in the kitchen. It's safer for you guys.
It sure is, Chad.
So, things are so making me angry. Needless to say, Maggie and Herbie destroy Trip in the race, which makes him furious. Maggie and Kevin are elated by the victory, but it's short-lived because Maggie doesn't want to race because it would upset her dad. Kevin then comes up with a genius plan that Maggie should race as an alternative persona, Max. She agrees. Maggie, as Max, starts to win a lot of races with Herbie. Trip doesn't like this and is trying to find out what's going on. He decides to throw a big ol' race. Whoever wins gets $10,000 as well as the chance to race Trip himself. Guess what? Maggie wins the race and gets the opportunity to face off against Trip. Trip has also found out that Max is actually Maggie and comes up with a plan to expose her. The night before their big race, Trip comes to Maggie and offers her a deal. If she wins, she gets his racing car, but if he wins, he gets Herbie. Herbie hears all of this and is really upset by it. The next day, at the big race, Herbie is so upset that he throws the race, letting Trip win. Trip then exposes Maggie, and her father is furious because she lied, and he doesn't want to lose Maggie as well as his wife and her mother. It's all very sad.
Yeah.
There's another big race for some reason, and Ray Jr. is trying to qualify for it, and does so, but he then immediately crashes his car and is unable to race. They need another driver. After an impassioned speech, Maggie says she'll drive, and the team agree, although Ray Sr. won't support it. Also, Maggie says she won't race without Herbie. She learns that Herbie has been sold to one of those horrible car-crushing shows, and he's essentially being turned into scrap metal. Against all odds, Maggie is able to save Herbie and bring him back to Kevin's shop. Kevin doesn't have the parts to fix up Herbie, and it looks like all hope is lost. Until Ray Jr. comes to the rescue with his pit crew, and they fix up Herbie for the race. Next day, it's the big race. The even bigger race than the race before. It's all very confusing because they're all just big races. There's a lot of drama and tension. Maggie is feeling the pressure, and she is also upset that her dad isn't there. The race looks like it's going south for her when suddenly her dad appears. She gets her head back in the game, and after some minor technical difficulties, she wins the race. Trip is totally embarrassed. Her dad accepts her as a female driver, and she and Kevin fall in love. The end.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What a story.
What a story.
I think Shakespeare wrote something similar.
So, full disclosure here is earlier that day I watched Talladega Nights for the first time.
No ways.
Yeah, so it was 2 NASCAR movies in one day. Very different.
Wow. Talladega Nights. I haven't actually seen that in such a long time, and I'm so surprised that you only saw it now.
I'd never seen it before. I really enjoyed it, though. I genuinely laughed really hard. I also laughed very hard during Herbie, but for very different reasons.
What made you laugh in Herbie?
The bit at the end where she's passing the dude and they ramp up onto the enclosure
yeah.
and go upside down, because that's like, I thought she was just maybe gonna like bump past him or something.
No.
But nope. And I have not laughed that hard in a while.
I think it's also synonymous with the railing bit in the first race where he jumps up into the rail, because in real life, I don't know, I'm not a car guy, but I'm pretty sure that if you did that, it would rip your car to shreds.
A lot of this stuff would rip your car to shreds. But fine. I think with this movie, what we have to remember is that it's for kids.
Yes.
And it's not meant to be realistic about cars or car racing or how humans work.
Or how human emotions, and, that is actually a good question, and I wish I had researched this before the podcast, but I mean, when do we ever do that?
No, don't be ridiculous.
I would love to know how many female drivers there are in NASCAR and why there aren't female drivers in NASCAR, because I'm pretty sure it's a very male-dominated sport.
I mean, it's the same in Formula 1, isn't it? Like,
yes.
Do you want me to look it up quick?
I mean, shall we? Shall we do this?
Let's educate ourselves and our listeners.
Let's do it. I mean, you guys can all Google this yourselves if you're at home by a computer.
Okay, so apparently with Formula 1, it's a bit of a numbers game.
Right.
I'm looking at a BBC article that I'll send the link to so we can
Yeah.
put it in the footnotes. But basically, quote unquote, they say some people get the impression it's only hard for women to get into Formula One, but there are actually also thousands of very talented male racers out there trying to get in and they never do. So even if you are talented, there are only 24 seats on the grid, and only a handful of those, if any, become vacant each year. There's a very small percentage of aspiring girl racers compared to hundreds of thousands of boys attempting to race. So the chances of them getting through to Formula One is always very remote.
Right, okay.
And then obviously young girls don't have anyone to aspire to growing up, compared to obviously men who have a lot more male role models in Formula One.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, those are some similar findings on this site for why there aren't more female race car drivers in NASCAR, because apparently there were a couple like really quite famous ones, but the main reasons that I've got here are sponsorships, that people don't want to sponsor female drivers, which is quite sad.
Oh.
Yeah, and then also there's no role models. I mean, people get into racing at very early ages, and girls just don't seem to be put into racing or like encouraged to go into racing.
Good to know.
So that's I mean, it's not the saddest thing in the world, but it is quite sad still.
I mean, I'm sure I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is like there aren't actually that many barriers for women to enter. It's just not been done before, so it's tricky and needs more momentum. But, you know, there could also be a lot of hidden factors and implicit bias. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Now we know. And I mean, yeah, I think let's get women in STEM to be a more mainstream idea, which it should be, and then we can work on racing, shall we?
And sports and well, why not all of it?
That's also true. Why do we have to just focus on one area? You're 100% right. Thank you for checking me. You're 100% right. There should be no barriers. We shouldn't have to work in phases or progress. It should just be like, oh.
I also have to imagine it's a very specific woman who has to choose between racing and STEM.
Are you telling me Lindsay Lohan couldn't do both?
Hey, I don't know. Maybe, you know, different universe out there.
You know, she was an amazing fiction writer.
Doing her postdoc.
Yeah, ours is the alternative reality where Lindsay Lohan's life just fell apart, and it's the only one.
Oh, God bless her. I hope she's okay.
I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's doing okay. You gotta have faith.
So, what did you like about this movie?
I thought it was great in the fact that there were such great actors in it. Like, every time I was introduced to a new character, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Okay, it's Lindsay Lohan. Oh, okay, that's awesome. It's Michael Keaton. Oh, that's awesome. It's Justin Long. And it just made me really happy that all these awesome actors got in on this movie that is in itself a less scary version of Stephen King's Christine.
I mean, yeah.
You know, and it was just genuinely enjoyable in the fact that Herbie is really precocious and
he's so sassy.
He's so sassy.
Little bug.
And then Lindsay Lohan reacts like a human being would react to a talking car and just starts fucking losing her shit the first time. And I thought that was really nice. What did you enjoy about it?
I mean, is it even an early 2000s movie if you don't have a montage to I'm Walking on Sunshine? I don't think it is.
No, you're 100% right. You couldn't be more correct. That's so wonderful.
That was fun.
That's great. I love this idea as well of, like, American graduation. Like, did you get anything when you graduated high school? Like, any big present, like a car?
No, I got relief, and I got my parents to say they'll help me go through university, and that was enough for me.
You see, I think Americans make it a much bigger deal than it actually is. It's just high school.
I mean, I don't want to belittle anyone's accomplishments. We all have, like, different trials and tribulations throughout our lives, and, like, but graduating high school is also, like, the minimum?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, again, I don't want to disparage anyone who hasn't graduated high school. I'm just saying, is it worthy of a car? That being said, like, people get cars when they turn 16 in America, which, like, you don't even have to try that hard to do.
Yeah, you literally just have to survive some stuff.
You turn 16 whether you get a car or not.
Yeah.
Like,
that's very true. But in a way, I do enjoy, I think it's ludicrous, but I also really do enjoy their sort of encouragement outlook on life. I think it's a much better way than the British pessimistic way of looking at life.
That's true. I like that Americans try to make everything a thing. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where our inspiration for this podcast came from. I mean, we wouldn't be optimistic if we weren't trying to really encourage that kind of idea. So thank you, America. God bless you.
Thanks, America. I read something about this movie. I don't know how true it is, but apparently they had to digitally alter Lindsay Lohan's the necklines of all her shirts because a bunch of moms complained that her shirts were like too low cut.
Amazing.
So they, post-production, had to change a bunch of her shirts.
Wow. That is intense.
Yeah, because, cleavage is the worst thing about this movie.
Yeah. I mean, if you're taking your tiny child, that's not what you want to see. That's not what you're looking for, is boobies in a Herbie movie.
Who cares?
I mean, yeah, exactly. That is the actual point. So, I mean, what could have saved it for you? What scene could have saved this film in your mind?
Overall, this was a pretty fun kids movie about a girl who just wants to drive a car and a car that just wants to win. But I don't know if you see much of like an actual character arc in Lindsay Lohan's character.
Yeah.
All that she really does is go like, oh, well, I actually want to be a driver, Dad. Maybe you should let me be a driver. And he's like, no. And then she drives anyway. And then he's like, okay.
Yeah.
But like, you don't get a change in her character. She doesn't have like a huge like internal conflict that she's working through. We know that her mom passed away, but like that doesn't really seem to affect her or her brother super much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of confusing. And then I feel like the relationship with her and Kevin was like a little forced.
A little forced.
Yeah, that's true. I'm downplaying it. It was pretty forced.
I mean, literally.
Like, why can't they just be best friends? Why can't they be friends that are reuniting over a shared love of cars?
I mean, quite literally, the car forced them to be together.
But yeah, I guess that's me. What about you?
I know this is a kid's film, but they could have gone really in two different directions that would have made it better in my mind. Is one, make it a horror movie. So we've had like all these really great sort of Herbie movies, and he's been like an amazing thing, and then he starts to like deteriorate, and the movie opens with him at the junkyard. So why not make it really spooky, but like Disney spooky, and make him like this really grungy, grizzled old Herbie who's just kind of sick of the world and has to learn to love again through the magic of Lindsay Lohan. Yeah. Or
kind of like the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. Like, fun, scary.
Fun, scary. Exactly. Eddie Murphy scary. And then the alternative would be to double down on the human rights aspect, because obviously women's rights aspect, not human rights aspect. Because there was like this big thing about her being a woman driver and her dad not trusting that fact and everything like that, and NASCAR being a very big boys club. And then it was sort of like, meh, we'll touch on it, but we're not going to really force it because we're Disney. And they should have just really pushed that thing and been like, is it because I'm a woman? Well, yes. Well, we need to change that. Not her being a woman, but the attitude.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think they touched on it as much as a kid's movie is gonna.
Yeah, that's true. So, Simone, tell me, would you watch this again, which is our newest segment?
I feel like if I had, like, my younger cousins over and, like, just want a fun movie to pop into the VCR and watch, like, this is a good one. Something where a girl's doing something that falls outside of traditional gender norms. It's a male-dominated sport. It's kind of addressed. Like, it's a fun movie. I feel like that's maybe when I'd watch it again. But, like, for myself, no.
Definitely. I've got to agree with you. I think, well, first of all, I want to touch on the fact that you said you'd put it in the VCR, which I think is really, really cool.
Oh my god.
Obviously, it was a slip of the tongue, but you said VCR, and that makes me really, really, really happy that you still have like
the worst kind of hipster that has a VCR.
You have VCR, and it's
it's just like purer.
There's just a clearer picture when you put it through tape. You've got like an 8-track in your car. It's all very retro and fantastic.
God, no.
But yeah, I mean, I think the only time I would really watch this again is if someone said to me, let's have like a Herbie marathon. Because I haven't seen any of the other Herbie films. And, I think it would be nice to see where Herbie started and where it ended.
That's true.
Because I think what's nice about the fact that this came out in like the early 2000s is the fact that the big production companies went like, well, let's just rip these sequels out of nowhere until everyone hates this thing.
Yeah.
They did a sequel and then they left it alone.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often now.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank goodness. Could you imagine more Herbie films? Exhausting.
Like some movies just need a sequel.
And yeah, what would you even call it? What would be the next Herbie? In your mind, if you could do it right now, what is the next Herbie film?
Oh, if I could make another Herbie
What's the
movie?
next Herbie film?
I don't know, but it's got Millie Bobby Brown in it.
Ooh, okay.
Obviously, she's adorable, and it's a bit of a solving a mystery. Like there's a murder at the track, so it's like a Nancy Drew kind of thing.
That is proper badass. I kind of love that. That's so lovely. I would
And
write
Herbie's
that.
there helping her solve mysteries. It's adorable.
That would be so good. I would watch the crap out of that.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd call it, but like
Who done it, Herbie?
Herbie. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Nice.
Yeah, that would be cute.
If you write
Thanks.
it,
Yeah.
we'll make it.
Okay.
Right. So
Cool.
there we go. Herbie, fully loaded. Put it in the bin.
Bye.
Bye, Herbie. So Simone, let's get on to the real deal now. Let's get pitching, shall we?
Okay, I hope you pitches are ready.
Excuse me. Just everything about this series makes me so happy. I want you to sing it. The whole plot, and I'll do some zums.
I will not. My pitch is not perfect.
Did you know the redhead one, whose name I've completely forgotten?
Brittany Snow.
Brittany Snow. She actually does have perfect pitch.
That's not surprising. She is a very good singer.
She is wonderful and flawless, and I love
I
her.
love Brittany Snow.
Yeah.
Her and her enormous eyes. Okay. So, Pitch Perfect 3. This takes place 3 years after the Pitch Perfect 2, and it finds the Bellas outside of Barden Academy trying to navigate their mid-20s in unsatisfying jobs following the high of winning the a cappella world championships 3 years earlier. At a Bellas reunion, Aubrey, played by Anna Camp, suggests that the gang do a USO tour, which is a tour around Europe meant to support the troops at the various bases. The gang agrees. On arriving in Europe, the Bellas learn that DJ Khaled, who is like emceeing the tour, I guess
he's just there. Who knows with that
he will
guy?
choose from one of the performing groups on tour to open for him at one of his concerts at the end of the tour. This is, of course, a huge deal. Meantime, Fat Amy, played by Rebel Wilson, runs into her father, a supposedly former criminal, played by John Lithgow, who has changed his ways and wants to repent for how awful he made Amy's childhood. Amy reluctantly agrees and starts reconnecting with her father throughout the tour. Becca, played by Anna Kendrick, meets a music producer from DJ Khaled's team who shows interest in her music early on, inviting her to play around on one of DJ Khaled's mixing setups.
I believe it's called a music place.
A turntable? Is that something people still use?
A DJ box.
Yes, that. Unfortunately, the tour does not start well for the Bellas. Their first performance is cut short, and they manage to wreak havoc at DJ Khaled's private party in a casino. However, they don't give up, and manage to have a fun, successful last ride performing together. On the last day of the tour, Becca is told that DJ Khaled wants her to open for his concert, but just her. He heard the track that she'd made on his system, and sensed the talent within her. Becca is conflicted and says she needs to think about it. At the same time, Amy realizes that her dad is up to his old bullshit and trying to get money out of her. She tells him she never wants to see him again, so naturally, he kidnaps the rest of the Bellas, except for Becca and Amy, because they weren't there, and keeps them on his boat, promising he'll murder them if Amy doesn't agree to help him get his money. Becca and Amy launch on a daring rescue attempt that involves distracting Amy's dad and his bodyguards with an impromptu performance by the Bellas, while Amy fights her way through all of the other henchmen and plants a bomb on the boat. The plan works, and the gang escapes, mostly unscathed. After all that, they have a heart-to-heart, accepting that they need to move on from the Bellas, that Becca needs to accept the amazing opportunity from DJ Khaled, and just generally discussing how their lives are looking up from there. The movie ends with a wonderful performance by Becca, during which she invites the Bellas on stage as a final departure. The end.
Oh. I mean, where do you even start with this movie?
It's a lot of fun. The whole way through.
It's just great.
And it really, I think the beginning really captures how, which as we're experiencing now, your early to mid-20s are just you trying to figure shit out and working jobs you don't necessarily like. And, like,
Everything is a
drinking
nightmare.
with your friends, talking about how easy you had it.
Like, I remember, and I'm pretty sure we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but we used to sit, Simone and I, on the steps of our university in our second and third year and watch the younger children go by and shout from our heads that they all didn't know what was coming, that they thought
had
their
no
lives were
idea.
so hard then. Their skin was flawless.
And if only we'd known.
Yeah, even now, going back, and I would love to go and look at my fourth year self and slap him in the face and be like, this is lovely. Don't even start.
You fool.
Run. Don't ever look back.
Yeah, that scene where they're watching like the new Bellas perform.
Oh, man.
And they're just like they're so happy. I bet they all have
Yeah.
boyfriends.
Does anyone else feel loose right now?
I was crying.
It was so good. It was so good. What is your favorite Pitch Perfect film?
Oh, I feel like I like the second one because it has the sound machine.
Thank you. That is...
Was that your answer?
That is exactly my answer. Like, that is why you and I are best friends, is because we both have this weird affinity for Germans.
And the sound machine was robbed in that world championship. I just want to say the performance was clearly much better.
No question about it. No question. I mean, the theatrics, the fishnetting. I mean,
that spandex does not breathe.
No.
Neither does that pleather.
no.
Vinyl, there we go. That's what I was looking for. The vinyl that they were wearing. It's a lot of sweat, and they performed through it like fucking champions.
And they were gorgeous.
In a language that is not their home language.
Yeah, but as the man Das Sound Machine reminds us of the woman Das Sound Machine, she speaks 8 languages, but small is not one of them.
Loser.
No, sorry, Loser.
I know that movie very well because it makes me laugh very hard.
I think the first time I saw number 2, I actually cried when Das Sound Machine came on for the first time, because they were just so perfect.
They truly are incredible.
It was beautifully done. Like Tallulah, not Tallulah, what's his name?
Flula.
It is Lula. He's
Flula.
Yeah, Flula. Yeah, he's friggin' hilarious. Just in himself, he is so
He's
funny.
so funny.
That was.
He's on
yeah.
YouTube, you guys.
Yeah,
check him out.
We will be
He's
linking to him.
fucking hysterical.
I mean, and it was just perfect seeing him in this movie as well. But yes, I mean, this movie, going back to this movie, number 3, you know, it was just really fun still.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most lackluster of the movies, just because it has to wrap everything up.
Do you not think we'll get a number 4 then?
No, I think...
Do you think they're
no,
done?
this is it. It's... I'm pretty sure it's, like, it's done. That's why, like, they had to give all the characters, like, nice little departures.
That's fair enough. I mean, you logically, you're right. And that would be nice to just put it to bed on a 3.
I think so. For sure. Rebel Wilson, hysterically funny, as always.
Yeah, she's great. I love Anna Kendrick's weird, awkward comedy.
Even, like, they really let Brittany Snow in this one where she's, like, flirting with the military guy.
Chicago, yeah.
And just so awkward. I love her.
She
Aubrey just wanting approval from her dad, which makes a lot of sense.
And I mean, even having John Lithgow in this movie as well.
Oh, man.
I mean...
With a pretty solid Australian accent.
Yeah, it wasn't half bad, was it? It wasn't half bad at all.
No, I mean... Australians are free to argue with us, but we won't understand them.
So, yeah, I mean, what a film. And it was great. It does shock me that this did so badly critically.
Yeah.
Because it is just lovely in itself.
I mean, again, it's like I said, it's probably the most lackluster of the Pitch Perfect films. I think generally, especially in terms of, like, the singing and choreography was really secondary to a plot that, like, wasn't super interesting. Like, I think out of all of them, the choreography for this was ignored.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you.
You don't have the same kind of star-studded, amazing, like, flawlessly executed performances that you get in the first 2.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, even you can see it from the plot itself, like, it feels very forced in the fact that they're trying to force a competition onto everything, trying to, like, I know that was the joke, they were trying to relate it back to the other 2 movies and trying to form a competition, even though it wasn't really a competition.
I actually loved that. I love it, the moment Brittany Snow's like, so there is a competition. Like, so ready.
Can we talk about Ever Moist?
Ever Moist.
It's the fact that she says it like that.
She just leans in. Ruby Rose is flawless. And that was genuinely really fucking funny.
Just every time, to start a performance, to end a performance, we are.
Yeah.
Ever moist.
Ever moist. Even when they're like introducing themselves to DJ Khaled.
Yeah. So great.
I
So
loved the riff off at the beginning. The other bands are like, "Oh, so you just do this?" And they're like, "No, but you can't play instruments."
Yeah. So we won. Technically we won because they played instruments and they joined teams. So we won.
Yeah.
And the topic of stars that you didn't think were Jewish
So funny.
fucking slayed me.
And also I learned a couple things. I was like, "Oh."
See, we have a conference every Wednesday, all the Jews all over the world. So I knew that Pink was
Is that
Jewish.
for jewoftheweek.net?
I forgot about Jew of the Week net, but yes, it is to choose who is the Jew of the Week. We chuck in our votes. Zac Efron is never Jew of the Week, which I think is the biggest
I keep
sham
forgetting
of all.
Zac Efron is one of yours.
I know. Wow. I don't know why, but I didn't like that phrasing at all.
I didn't like it either. Let's cut it out. I hated it.
It was great.
It
One
felt
of
horrible
yours.
as I
Oh.
said it. I was like, and then you had a long pause after that. I was like, oh my god, I fucked up.
That was so great because like it's one of those innocuous things. Like it literally shouldn't be offensive at all. It's like that scene in 30 Rock where he's like, "Can we call them Latina?" Oh, I don't like that.
What do I
We
call
can't
you?
say that. Yeah.
And especially
It's like,
this
no,
weekend, I
you're
was
wrong.
literally helping with planning of a Jewish wedding. So I'm learning a lot about Jewish weddings.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, good. You'll probably know more than me. You can help me with my wedding one day.
Are you going to have a Jewish wedding?
I mean, I should. My parents would probably appreciate it, I guess.
You don't sound so sure.
It'll get them off my back. It'll get them off my back about wanting grandchildren for like 4
That's
seconds.
true. I guess the big thing is just paying for kosher food.
Oh God, kosher
No,
food.
It's so expensive.
Not
And kosher
not happening.
wine?
Ugh, I don't need no rabbi blessing stuff.
But apparently it's the whole thing.
I'm
like,
already
it's the
too
whole
blessed to
process
be
of
stressed.
making it. Like they have to boil it at some point in the process, and like then the whole thing has to be overseen. Like, I don't know. I'm learning a lot.
You already know a lot more than I do.
I also learned that ostrich is not kosher.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Why? It
Apparently,
doesn't have
it's
a
one of
cleft
the few
hoof.
birds mentioned in the Torah that like they're specifically like you cannot eat this.
Wow.
It's like ostriches, owls, and vultures.
I can understand vultures. I can't understand
owls.
owls apart from their majesty.
Well, they're birds of prey, so you can't. I don't think you're allowed to eat predators.
Oh, really?
Uh-uh.
Well, that goes my bald eagle for dinner out the window.
Tell your mom to turn off the oven.
So there you have it, guys. That's our new podcast.
it
Simone tells
kosher?
us Jew stuff.
You can explain Catholicism to me.
Yeah. I prefer Is It Kosher as a name of a podcast.
Will it kosher?
Will It Kosher? That's great. I'll just bring you different foods every week, and you can just tell me. It'll be great. What a perfect podcast.
And you'll eat it anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there was one, getting back away from
Sorry,
this
yes.
crazy religious tangent, if there was one, what scene could have saved it for you?
I would have liked to see more performances and singing and dancing.
Mm-hmm.
They do like kind of a montage in the middle showing them like doing a song, but it's not the same. Like I don't want a montage. I want like at least 3 different performances with the choreography, with a mashup, with some of the other bands. That's what I wanted. There just wasn't enough of it.
Yeah, I feel that. That's a good point. Maybe that's why it was so lackluster, is because this film, which is essentially a musical,
Yeah.
was not musical enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and what scene
Very
could
good
have
point.
saved it for you?
I wasn't super convinced by the Patricia and her father storyline. Like, I know it kind of gave the conclusion, but like, I just felt it wasn't a big enough story arc in the first 2. Like, Audrey's father relationship
Yeah.
was a bigger arc in the first 2, and it made
Yeah,
more
that's
sense
true.
to have that mentioned in this one. We're not really told about Patricia's father in the other 2 films, so I don't understand why we care in this one. Apart from the fact that she's now a multimillionaire.
I mean, must be nice.
Yeah, I think we would all trade in our lovely
Yeah.
fathers for being crime bosses who left us a
I
gajillion
don't think that's
dollars.
true. I really like my father.
Yeah, no, my dad's pretty tight,
And
so
he's supported me a lot through the years. Hi, Dad.
yeah, no, my dad's pretty awesome too.
Oh, I wanted to last thing real quick. Just emphasize
Yeah, of
again
course.
how accurate this movie is for life after college, where you're just working whatever shitty job you can get. You've broken up with your
Yes.
college boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yes.
I really like that they didn't try to make any of those relationships last. They were just like, no, you guys, this isn't how it works.
That is the 1% kind of thing. And yeah, life after college, it may have been like this in the old days, but it is no longer like it. And in now that having a college degree means your life is perfect, it is quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite. You guys have been following Chad and I the last couple months where we've both been looking for jobs
in this crazy runescape that is our lives. Yes. And yeah, so if you are listening to this in college, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And this is one of your biggest warnings and a massive red flag. It doesn't get any better, literally.
In all fairness, like, I do like having more free time than I did in university. Like, I don't have to come home and do more work unless I want to do it.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't go back.
No, definitely. Well, I can't really say that because I technically have gone back.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go back fully. That's insanity.
Yeah, no. So, guys, like, it does get better, but also, man, it gets stressful.
It's difficult in different ways.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I feel like from when you're born until you're 18, you have training wheels, and then from like 18 to 24, you're kind of without the training wheels, but someone is still there to catch you if you fall. And then from about 25 onwards, the bike is actually on fire.
But you're so free.
But you're so free, and as long as you keep pedaling super hard, the flames will never touch you.
Guys, I literally had chocolate chip cookies for breakfast yesterday, and if that's not a great thing about adulthood, I don't know what is.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and it's a Monday, and we're both drinking.
Look at
midday.
Us.
Amazing. So, you know, bits of both worlds. Yeah.
So, Chad, would you watch this movie again?
No, hated it. I'm never watching any other Pitch Perfect
You're
again.
a liar.
You crazy? Of course, I would watch this right now. I mean, we watched it literally a week ago, and I would watch it again right now, all three of them, straight away. I'd
seen it before this, and I think a second time, like halfway through, and I was happy to watch it again for this podcast.
Yeah, these movies came out of nowhere, and they are just so wonderful.
So
fun. I mean, who would have thought that, you know, like in that pitching meeting and being like, hear me out, 12 girls singing with their mouths through college.
No instruments, just making noise.
You've got, and it made a gajillion dollars, and it made 2 other movies. I mean, no one saw this coming, and it has been an amazing ride.
It definitely has. So well done, Pitch Perfect. We salute you. And we love you, and we'll watch you again soon.
Always. And so, yeah, I mean, woo!
Look
you did
at
it. Well
us.
Done. Nicely done. So, Simone, that is it. Let us go into our final segment. Will It podcast for me, and what do you fancy seeing in the coming weeks?
So, I think it'll have come out by the time this episode comes out, but I probably won't have watched it yet, is the trailer for the new Jessica Jones series. I think it's the last in the season, or the last in the series. Last season in the series. There we go. Jessica Jones Season 3. I'm very excited about it. I've been thrilled with Jessica Jones since the very beginning.
Okay.
I'm really upset that Netflix has sold a lot of its, or most of its rights to Disney. So that's why Daredevil is not continuing and a bunch of their other stuff, which, boo. But I'm glad that they at least get to hopefully bring Jessica Jones to like a satisfying close.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think you fans deserve it. You know, it's really heartbreaking when there's a series that just falls flat. # Firefly. I know you're still upset about that.
I mean, to be honest, Daredevil's much fresher.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, man.
That's true. It's gonna be okay. You'll get through this.
I'm so mad. It was such a good series with perfect casting, and it's fine. It's fine.
You'll survive another day, I promise. It's gonna be okay. We have hope for Jessica Jones.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So what's gonna podcast?
Well, my dearest friend, it's a film. This is the sequel now, of course, called 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. It's the second one in a shark-based thriller.
Oh, okay.
So they are 47 meters down, and they find a Mayan sacrifice cave. There are a bunch of divers who have gone spelunking, and they find this Mayan place, and lo and behold, there's a shark down there, and it just kind of chases them for an hour and a half, I guess. And I mean, while that is quite thrilling, I don't understand how you can make yet another movie about this.
Are we still doing shark movies? Like, have sharks not suffered enough, you guys?
Yeah, for reals. We've learned that they're actually not that bad. They'll bite you, realize that you're not food, and leave you alone. Like, sharks are like dogs in the fact that they use their bite to identify.
You're very unlikely to die from a shark attack compared to other ways to die. Yeah, so maybe instead of giving your money to watch this movie, donate it to a local shark conservancy or your favorite wildlife charity.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we will link to a shark conservancy, or wildlife nature oceanic reserve charity of some kind, just so you can maybe give them some cash, because sharks are really cool and they're really lovely actually, and incredibly beautiful and apex predators and just fantastic.
Yeah,
seriously,
I love
guys.
sharks.
Yeah, sharks are awesome. And yeah, so I mean, plus if you do get bitten by a shark, which you probably will survive, that's pretty fucking badass.
I mean, we're not going to wish it on you.
But if you are looking for cool scars, maybe swim with a bunch of chum.
There are better ways, guys.
No, don't listen to Simone. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Pay for scarification at a certified tattoo parlor. I think you're batshit crazy if you do, but to each their own.
To each their own. Sharks.
Have you seen scarification videos
I have.
and pictures?
It is terrifying. One of my very good friends is a tattooist and a scarificator. Yeah. Whew. No, thank you. Tattoos
No.
are enough.
Yeah. And also, I scar myself on accident all the time, and it sucks.
I was about to say, Simone, Jesus, do we need to talk?
No, I am clumsy and I cook a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've got, it looks like defense marks on my arm. Obviously, people can't see this, but I've got one there and like another one there, but it's just from hot pans.
That's fair enough. Yeah, you are quite clumsy and you do cook a lot. So that would make sense. Extreme cooking, as my mum would call it.
Everything I do is extreme.
Oh.
By that logic.
Amazing. That is great. So there you have it, everyone. 47 meters down, Jessica Jones, all the exciting things. So, boom. And we've done it again, Simone. Another podcast
done it.
down the way.
Okay.
I was going to say down the drain, but that sounds really bad.
Before we talk about what movies we're going to do next, shall we remind people of what's happening?
Yes. Tell us all the things, you magician of storytelling.
Okay, you guys, in case you didn't hear the last episode, we are joining a podcast network. We're very excited. It's called Robots Radio. If you want to check them out, we'll link to them in the footnotes.
Woo!
Super, super nice people. We're excited to join. And as part of that joining, we are going to rebrand and relaunch. Guys, it's going to be basically the exact same content. We're still going to be optimistic about movies. We're still going to go off on tangents that you don't want us to. We're still going to be excited about everything. We're still going to do themed episodes. It's just going to be slightly repackaged and hopefully easier and more fun for you to listen to.
Yeah.
Based on the wonderful advice that we've been getting from Tom over at Robots Radio. We have been really careful in making sure that the changes we make feel authentic to us and don't feel too like calculated or markety.
Yeah.
And we're pretty happy with the stuff that we've got planned for you guys. We're really excited for you to hear it. So we will be announcing all kinds of stuff on our social medias, which we'll tell you how to find in a sec. Yeah, I think that's it. And next week's episode will be our last episode on this podcast.
Yeah, so don't worry, things will be changing, but we will sort of guide you through it with a tender hand to make sure that the transition into this new beautiful experience won't sort of hinder you from your listening pleasure of our two tangenty voices. And yeah, so be excited. We're excited. It's going to be awesome. Really looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Simone, what are you doing next week?
So I had an idea, Chad.
Oh, I'm excited.
I thought for our last episode of this podcast, we could do one of our favorite genres.
Oh.
Which is dance movies.
Oh, I am so ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm so ready. Do you have an idea?
So I want to do Step Up to The Streets.
Yes!
And you are welcome to find the dance movie of your choice.
I am going to do a Netflix favorite, but not so favorite. I'm going to do Step Sisters. Very excited. Haven't seen it before, so this should be really interesting. You said you enjoyed it, so I'm excited to hear. So, very exciting. We love dance movies. What's not to love? Dance is such an important part of everyone's lives.
Especially ours, Chad.
Yeah, we dance like no one is watching, and no one is watching us, thank God. So there you go. What a special week to end on. And Simone, how are you? How was your week?
I'm good. I'm not going to go into details. Last week was a weird week.
Weird week.
But we're fine. We're happy. We're healthy. I'm excited to start my new job next month. I went shopping accordingly, which was fun. Ensuing debt, probably less so, but it's fine.
You'll be fine. You've got a new job.
Yeah.
A new job will save you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's all
yeah.
gonna be
No,
okay.
I mean, it's a responsible amount of debt. Like, I've got the money coming in at the end of the month. I just wanted to buy the clothes now.
Yeah. That's what credit should be for, is
Yeah.
to sort of like bring forward the inevitable.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so it's been a good week. How about you, Chad?
Good. Yeah, I've had a good week. I start my new job next week. By the time this comes out, I would have already started my job, which is very, very exciting. I've been having some really weird dreams, Simone. I've been dreaming a lot about being a contestant on MasterChef.
Interesting.
But the interesting thing about it is that I'm always doing very badly.
That's an anxiety dream then.
So on, I think it was 2 nights ago, I had a dream that I was in like MasterChef semifinals, and I had no idea what to cook, and I was really stressing out, and I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna make candied onions with dauphinoise potatoes, and then sweet potatoes, crispy sweet potatoes, with chocolate. And and I played it up, and I gave it to them, and they were like, "This is the worst thing we've ever eaten." At a semi-final level, this is absolutely fucking atrocious. And I woke up, and I felt really, really awful.
Do you know, I had a weird dream this week as well. I had a dream that we all, like, came to support my sister because she was showing us the ad for her first ever, like, so she was launching a lingerie company, and she'd made a video commercial for it. So we were all coming to, like, premiere it and support her. And the lingerie company ad had Guy Fieri in it. He wasn't wearing the lingerie.
Oh my God.
He was just in the ad.
That's so perfect.
And we were, like, all really impressed with the commercial, obviously, because it had Guy Fieri.
Uh-huh.
And then after the presentation, where we were all like, oh my God, this company is going to be amazing, congratulating my little sister, Justin Trudeau walks up to her.
What?
And he's like, hey, remember when I lent you $11 because I, like, believed in your dream? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, well, I need you to pay me back now that it's panned out.
What?
So Justin Trudeau is just being a cheap bastard to my sister.
That's so magical. I really love that.
You know, like, when you remember your dream, like, later after you've woken up? So, like,
Yeah.
I'd had a coffee and I'd, like, you know, started my day, and then I was like, oh my God.
That's so perfect. That's so wonderful. I love weird dreams like that. They're just the best.
Yeah. Oh, and the company was called I Love Paris Lingerie, so keep an eye out for that, everyone.
Featuring Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri. That's the Flavortown range.
Yeah. I love him so much.
I love Guy Fieri
I actually
so
tweeted.
much.
I tweeted at him the other day. Obviously, I didn't get a reply because he's a god.
No.
But I tweeted at him the other day because a pizza company used the expression Flavortown, and so I messaged him. I added him on Twitter, and I was just like, at Guy Fieri, Papa John's just used the expression Flavortown. Did you allow this? And it would have been very funny if I'd got a reply.
That would have been wild.
It would have been the highlight of my year, probably. So there you have it, everyone. That's our week. Where can the people find you, Simone? Where can they find us?
Okay, people can find me at simone.le.raux. Do it! I post pictures of my cats all the time on my stories.
They are perfect cats.
At the moment, there's a very fluffy belly on there.
I saw it.
They can find the podcast at It's Not That Bad One on Facebook and Twitter. They can follow us on Instagram at It's Not That Bad Podcast, and they can email us at It's Not That Bad Podcast at gmail.com. Where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Chatsby1993. That's CHADSBY 1993. And you know, thank you for listening, guys. We really, really appreciate it. And you know, without your support, we wouldn't be joining this podcast network. They wouldn't have found us.
No.
And so we really cannot say thank you enough. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for giving us your ratings. Thank you for subscribing. But please don't stop. It all helps. You know, it all gets us onto a next level. You know, we're aiming for PodCon 2020. And, you know, then there'll be live shows and things like that, which you guys will, you know, see. And it's always nice to support your friends. I mean, it takes literally like 5 seconds, so we really do appreciate that feedback. Even if it's negative feedback, it's all good for us to learn. We're all growing. We never stop growing. So that's really good. And as we say at the end of every episode,
we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Bye!